Hi, everyone. Welcome to How to Reinvent Yourself for the AI-Driven World. My name is Jason Stein, and I lead training and education for the tax and accounting profession here at Intuit. Also joining me today is Mr. David Bergstein, CPA, CITP, CGMA, HIJK, LMNOP. He's going to come join us later, but I wanted you to know that he was going to present some materials as well after me, and I'll talk about why that's important as we get into it. A little about me. As I mentioned, I'm the tax and accounting professional leader here at Intuit for education. I've been around for 20 plus years. It may not look like it with my slightly trimmed beard and my fresh quarantine cut, but I actually have been around that long. Been honored to be published in Accounting Today for a couple of articles now. I'm working on a new one here pretty soon, as well as Intuit's Tax Pro Center, and was very graced to be a part of a team that filed for a patent for the implementation of AI technology, which is natural language processing as a form of AI technology for use in our training experiences. I'd love if you would connect with me if you want to. On LinkedIn or Twitter. You can find my references here at the bottom of my slide. Either one's great. I'm probably a little more active on Twitter or on LinkedIn, sorry. So I want to tell you a story about my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law, Mary, she's here in the middle. If you can see my cursor next to my beautiful wife. She is a master seamstress. So what is a master seamstress? A master seamstress is different than a hobbyist. She's not somebody who just kind of fiddles around with cross stitching or you know, just a needle and what do you call it, thimble. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but she has spent her entire career perfecting her craft to achieve the mastery of the needle and the thread. Now, just for a second, replace needle and thread with numbers. That sound familiar? Mastery of numbers. Trying to draw a correlation there. So Mary worked for a company called Patagonia. You might have heard of them. They produce high quality sports and outdoor gear. And about 4 years ago, Mary was laid off from Patagonia as part of the company's restructuring its workforce, and her role at the time was eliminated because it was redundant to what could be accomplished by machines. She was still just a little bit too young to retire at about 62. Well, I guess she was about 58 at the time. She's 62 now. So she was too young to retire. She had an older husband. That's him down here in the bottom right, Mikey. He had some strokes and I believe a heart attack too, and was left kind of in need. Not completely disabled, but certainly, you know, not the same person he was before. And then on top of that, she has a mentally handicapped brother to take care of. So a lot on her plate. And so the point that I'm getting at, though, is her profession was disrupted by the invention of the sewing machine. Really, if you think all the way back to the early innovations before, you know, it started with just a basic needle and thread. And when it comes to the sewing machine, and then the assembly line, and then automated robotics, and all being powered by AI technology. And she and of course others like her had to transcend these disruptions. And so, you know, at the age of, you know, 58, 59 years old, Mary had to reinvent herself, completely reinvent herself. She had spent her entire career with the mastery of, you know, needle and thread, sewing machine, and riding the waves of disruption, but it finally came to a head for her. And she had to lean in to the very technology that was disrupting her role. And so, you know, of course, others like her had to embrace the same change and transform themselves. And that meant reinventing their skills. And of course, that brings us to, well, what, Jason, why are you talking to a group of CPAs about the, you know, textiles industry? But I don't think it's, you know, it's not a secret that our industry is being transformed by way of technological advancement as well. So let's talk a little bit about that. First, I want to demystify AI is the talk of the town these days, has been for probably the last, I don't know, couple of years, really. Not that it's only been invented in the last couple of years, just that it's become ever increasingly popular. It is not the Terminator, folks. It is meant to be an easy button. It is an augmentation of you. It is the application to the tax. So the application of the tax and accounting industry means automating tasks that we're accustomed to billing for by the hour, or maybe by the form if you're doing tax compliance work. And so, you know, does this mean that your job is going away? Not necessarily. There's a lot of doom and gloom talk about it, but it could. You know, if your sole focus is on the tasks that are being automated, sure, it's possible that could ultimately eliminate the role that you're in, but it doesn't have to be, because if you really look at what's going on, certain tasks are going away, but not necessarily jobs. And by the way, for every 10 jobs that are disrupted by AI technology in any industry, 11 come along to replace it. So this is not, you know, this is not us moving towards, you know, the end of our careers as we know it. It's just simply the next evolution. It is the fourth industrial revolution. And so you will need to reinvent yourself as a traditional tax and accounting bookkeeping firm if that's where you're at today, not because you as a person will be obsolete, but because your clients need more than the numbers. And that's really the key. And we finally have a way to, you know, free us up to focus on the value that you provide. And so I want to talk a little bit about the skills. There's 3 key skills that world, according to Jason Stein, I believe you'll want to start building right now, especially with the disruption that we've had with the coronavirus and us being really literally overnight forced to work from home. But as you move into the future, building strong foundations for yourself and your firm. And so we'll touch on each of these here in a slight depth here in just a minute, but it starts with building a strategy and a vision for your firm and helping your clients do the same. It means becoming a personal business coach and leveraging your vast experience and the data that you have access to as your client's accounting professional, and thinking differently about client relationship management. So let's dig into that. Start with strategy. So strategic thinking involves creating a vision and a strategy for your firm. Your vision and strategy is your desired destination. It's your plan. And your roadmap, it's your destination. Your plan is your roadmap. So you want to start first at the sort of pie in the sky, but also something that you can, you know, ground on and work towards realistically, but it doesn't necessarily have to be immediately achievable. Not like goals. Goals are different. Goals are supposed to be achievable. But when I think about you know, vision and goals, I had this old boss one time, not my most favorite boss, but he did have a catchphrase that always stuck with me. He said, "Hope is not a strategy." I'll let that sink in for a second. Hope is not a strategy. So if you're hoping that your firm will just kind of catch on and you'll adapt as you go, I don't recommend that approach. I recommend a deliberate vision and strategy for your firm. So some tips to think about as you do this. Don't feel like you have to do it alone. Bring in thought partners. Take, you know, a handful of your most trusted clients that you have a really strong relationship. Bring them in and share with them your thinking and let them help you develop a vision and strategy. And once you get the vision and strategy, your goals and your plan will start to like really come to life, because you'll know exactly, oh, if I'm going to achieve this vision, I need these goals and I need a plan to achieve those goals. Otherwise, of course, it's just a pipe dream. But also, and bring in staff, bring in your mentors, key contacts. You know, don't feel like you have to bury that and carry that burden yourself. And think ideal state. Like I mentioned before, pie in the sky, but still realistic to a degree. And so that kind of balancing the ambiguity and the specificity of it will help. So to illustrate, if I were gonna win some son-in-law points with my mother-in-law, I might help her develop a strategy that looks kind of something like this. I call it the SIP strategy. The vision is delight and inspire the world through superior craftsmanship of custom clothing and deeply personalized keepsakes. So no longer is she focused on mass production, right? She would evolve into where is the need for her profession. First part of the strategy, got to scale. You got to have technology to automate and personalize the experience and personalize the product in her case. She might want to inspire by partnering with the best world designers, and then protect by vigilantly filing patents. So this is not Mary's strategy, by the way, but it's just an illustration to help kind of bring that to life a little bit. So let's talk a little bit about coaching using data insights. This is kind of a little bit different than the way that we might have thought about the work before in our profession. And I call it the difference between a compliance client and an advisory client. So the difference between a compliance client and an advisory client is that the compliance client is simply not in jail, right? And at the core, that's really, we got to still do that. Neither is the advisory client, right? But they also have a vision. The advisory client or advisory firm has a vision for the future that you can help shape for them. And they are making progress on it. And you are a critical factor in helping them achieve that. Your role is an uplifting and inspiring place to be, which is really where we would want to operate, right? The days of poring over reports that are historical in nature versus looking forward and using expertise to have conversations with your client on growing their success. That's where we want to be. That's the difference we want to make in your clients' lives. And so to coach, right, you're using all the elements available to you to offer guidance to your clients, and then data from their financials, and then experience from working with other similar and not so similar clients in the industry. And like I mentioned, compliance work isn't going away, even with technology automation, but it shouldn't be the focus of the services. It should be something that just happens as a result of your ongoing relationship. Not to downplay the work that's involved with this, because it sometimes can be cumbersome. But the point I'm trying to make is it's important to seek automation as much as possible on the compliance work, because that isn't what's valued. This way, your relationship can be forward-looking, budgeting, tracking, projecting, helping focus the ongoing conversations towards the future. That's the crux of it. And so the last one is client relationship management. So your clients' mindsets are evolving. Convenience is king. And when we think about face-to-face meetings, right, those are a thing of the past already. And maybe they'll come back once things calm down out there in the global pandemic world. But a lot of firms were moving to more of a cadence of video conferencing even before this. And so one of the things that's cool about this is, you can prepare some thoughts and notes for your clients based on what you've done to review the financials, based on your expertise, et cetera. And then, hey, I don't know about you, but I hear some people say that they don't want to show up for these calls. And so if they don't, then just record it for them anyway and send it to them, because maybe they're so busy they could take 15 minutes more towards the end of the day and review your thoughts. And it's nice to do in a conversational tone. But that requires pushing our thinking, beyond the way that we might have done things before. And so this requires, a mindset shift and a focus on the convenience, but also it's convenient for you, as well as cadence. So we got to move away from this once a year, here's your tax return, maybe follow up once more for a tax planning session. This needs to be an ongoing conversation. And so I'm going to let David actually get into a little bit more. He's got some great tips on using technology and we're working remotely now, whether it's because of what's going on or just simply because it opens possibilities. So I'm going to let him dig into that a little bit more, but I just want to close and just reflect back for a minute. The 3 skills we discussed: vision, strategy, client relationship management, coaching using data insights. For Mary, the skills were different. She had to leverage her skills as a seamstress, lean into design and product creation, and she had to learn about mass production and distribution, as well as new markets. And she's doing great today. Now she's focused around design. She uses her knowledge and her expertise along with sales data, customer behavior, and other things to offer new and creative ideas to her current company in a more consultative role. And she works collaboratively with her team to bring these new designs to market. Now, she's still learning, but she loves it way more than she could have imagined. And so if it's possible for Mary at 62 years young to reinvent herself for this new world, then it is possible for you too. And if you're going to do it, now's the time, because this is already where leading firms are and where they're focused. And besides, you might just find that, like Mary, you might love the new way you work more than you imagine. So go start building these skills today. And so at this point, I'm going to hand it over to David. I'm going to let him deliver what he has for you. And David, take us away.
Thank you, Jason. I think you can hear me now as I am unmuted. I appreciate that. I'm going to take over where Jason left off, and I think I'll start with my easy button, since we started off with an easy button. And my name is Dave Bergstein. I'm actually the incoming chair of the FICPA Technology Committee this upcoming year. So I'm here to help, and I can be followed on Twitter, and I'm here to help everybody that's in Florida. From a more practical standpoint, when we look at what's going on and the changes that are going on in the world, it really comes down to using the tools that are out there. I like to consider myself a millennial in a baby boomer's body, and I'm constantly updating myself on how to reinvent myself. Barry Melanson, the CEO of the AICPA, says it's now a time for CPAs to learn, unlearn, relearn, retrain ourselves constantly, because we're at a time of change. I'm working remotely at home right now, and I look at the different settings and I look at what's out there. You know, we've been quarantined for a month and a half at this point in time. It seems like forever, but we have to adapt and change as we move forward. And as we move forward, we have to understand what the future is going to be like. In 2018, about 43% of CPA firms regularly let employees work from home. And this is really changing what's going on in the accounting world. The unemployment rate went down for accountants in 2019. I know from this pandemic things have changed, but accounting leaders now recognize the practical benefits of a remote work setting, and we all realize what's going to happen in the future. Offices are going to open up, and not everyone's going to go back on a regular basis. Offices, I've spoke to a couple of partners of a couple of firms right now where they've divided the firm into A, B, C people. A people come in one day, B another, C another, because they're expecting more people to work from home. I'm a solo practitioner. So what you see is what you get in my office right now. I have one person working for me. They're working remotely from their office. So there's lots of things we have to be aware of. This is actually a picture of my office on my desk right now. Yesterday I was multitasking. I was on a webinar on one screen, working on this webinar on another screen. But we have to take advantage of the tools. Jason pointed out his mom from the sewing, but accountants, same thing. When I started out in accounting, it was pencils and a pocket protector. It was one of these things, a general ledger, and a book. Now I can collaborate with my clients and show them their books all on a screen, whether you're using Teams, Zoom, GoToMeeting. go to webinar. The world has changed. The CPA.com, which is the marketing arm of the AI CPA, said, CPAs, it's time to adapt to a digital world. Reinvent yourself. Don't do things like you've done in the past, as Jason said. It's all about a vision. It's about a strategy. And what I like to do is helpfully coach other CPAs, solo practitioners that doing a lot of compliance work. I was doing compliance work. My practice consisted of tax returns. I'll call it client accounting services now. It used to be write-up, payroll taxes, sales taxes. And now I'm into heavily advisory services. I had clients that needed PPP loans. I had clients that needed EILD loans. Tax returns had to wait. But there are tools out there, even to get a PPP loan when it came out. There was bots out there that were furnished by AICPA, Intuit, and others, where you could go calculate what you needed to do. So I wanted to make us aware of what's out there now. This was CPA.com, AICPA, 2019. You look at blockchain, which was working its way down the trail of disillusionment, because it takes time. We talk about technology, but way back when in 1989, probably some of you weren't practicing then, the AICPA came out with its specifications for digitizing and making the practices more advanced. Never happened because technology was not there. It's there now. As I switch from the predictions for 2019 or megatrends to 2020 and the new ones coming out at the end of this year, you see blockchain is working its way back to being more productive as it gets to be enlightenment. But RPA, robotic process automation, it's replacing what we did with a pencil. We used to look at an invoice and write it on a spreadsheet. We used to take a spreadsheet and add the numbers up. Now these things are all automated. And that's really what RPA is about. It's not about a robot. It's about automating or taking a task that we did manually, and we do it over and over again and find a way to use the computer system to automate it. Consider it a macro in Excel. So as we move forward, I want to point out we need to take advantage of the tools that are out there. AICPA put out a CPA Horizons report. And again, it's important for us as solo practitioners, members of large firms, to understand and leverage the relevant technology. It doesn't mean change constantly. It means let's take a look, let's choose a core platform, because that's the way the world is working today. If you're doing client accounting services, pick a core platform, whether it be Intuit, a Xero, an Intact, an NetSuite, or maybe even two of them, small to medium and super large, because you can only be competent in so many skills. Position ourselves, and this is the beauty of being a CPA, we're positioned as the premier designation of accounting and finance profession throughout the world. Take pride in saying that we are a CPA. We want to be trusted advisors. I am never going to be a trusted attester unless I have to be, because I've done my share of audits, but as a solo practitioner, I'm a trusted advisor to my clients. And today, it's no longer about, okay, I can practice and do what I've learned in the past. Take courses, whether it be from the FICPA or others. It's really, truly a lifetime learning and a lifelong learning experience. I just took a course, RPA. What is RPA? How does RPA work? Robotic process automation, so that I can implement it into what I do. We're seeing a range of things happening. So take advantage of what's out there as far as technology is concerned. Be aware that there's a digital revolution. The cloud is making us all collaborative. Artificial is automating the task. And real-time connections, just like we're not together virtually today, but you see my picture, you see that I'm talking to you, we can make connections and take a planet-friendly approach. What does a planet-friendly approach mean? It means digital signatures. No longer does a client come in to sign the tax return. So what we tried to do in the past can't be done in the same way. So we need to take advantage of technology as we move forward. I thank you for your time. Jason and I are always available. You have his Twitter handle, you have my Twitter handle. Please feel free to reach out to us. We're here to help. Thank you very much.